DNVR Buffs prime time on a Friday, and a very, very special show today because we have my guy in the building, Matt McChesney, Buffs legend. What's going on?
Man, it's so good to be back home. I've done so many shows up here. This feels good to be back at DNVR, bro. You guys are doing big things.
Dude, it's funny. First of all, we're presented by Illegal Pete's. What's your Illegal Pete's order?
Oh, okay. So I used to go just steak, rice, black beans, tons of cheese, tons of sour cream.
Okay.
That's it. Super boring, super bland, super fat guy. Like as much steak as you can put in it. I'll pay for it. I don't care. If you have to do 2 burritos, get that done. That was mine. No heartburn.
All right, there you go.
How about you?
I go, well, it depends, but lately I've been on the reverse nachos, which is kind of like a secret menu item.
Nice.
And I've been trying to turn people onto it. But you basically just get a burrito bowl full of queso and chips on the side.
That doesn't sound bad.
Nope, it slaps. All right, so this is funny because you and I go back many years. But you have recently had a run on social media, and we have a very new audience. So, of course, we have some old-time Buffs fans, but a lot of people came over in the Coach Primary. So they're like, you guys should have this guy on your show. And I'm like, this guy? We've done, dozens of shows together.
We know each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Weird.
So, first of all, I want to start there. The TikTok has absolutely blown up.
And look, so I took my man Gary V, his advice. He said, hey, start posting on TikTok 4 times a day. And I was like, I don't know. I'm kind of a Twitter, Instagram guy for the business. I don't really post a lot about myself. And then I started doing it, and it just blew up. The algorithm fits what we do down at 6-0. And the best part about it, look, it's funny. It's great. It's good to get a laugh. It's good to see a portal into the way guys talk in the gym, the way guys talk on the football field. Like, you don't get to talk like that in a business setting. And I like the fact that 6-0 is different. I really do. It's been that way for going on 14 years now. So very proud of that aspect of it. But really the platform for the kids, bro, like we've got the #1 player in the state. We've got 8 of the top 20 in there again this year. We've put over 500 guys into college football in the last 13 years.
Hell yeah.
And that platform is really the key. And, when you get on spring break and when you get, in the offseason like this and everybody starts coming home, it's a pretty special time. So the social media and all that, it just kind of feeds the beast, and the beast feeds the social media, and it's pretty awesome. So anything that helps the Dungeon family get put on, I'm with. And look, I know I'm wearing sunglasses inside, but it's because he put me on this side, and I can't see left, and I can't look at him cross-eyed the whole show, so I'm going to just rock my sunglasses, so stop judging me.
I just want to be over here. I want to be in your blind spot at all times.
That most people do. It's why I wore a shield my whole life in college football.
So the funny thing about this is it kind of reminds me a little bit of Coach Prime. And the reason I bring this up is because you are 100% yourself in these videos, and some people might not like it, but it allows you to not surprise anyone. And I think it probably, in your opinion, only hurts you if some kid comes in thinking that this is not going to be what it is, and then you start coaching them the way that you coach, you're probably going to lose them. So you almost advertise yourself at like the peak, and anyone who comes there knows, okay, this is what I'm getting myself into. Like I might get roasted on TikTok, but I'm going to end up becoming a better football player.
Well, look, we put it like this. I don't read the comments. Very, very rarely do I read the comments. And
most of the comments are people saying, I wish someone was there to coach me like this.
Or where's Odin? Yeah. and look, I tell every kid in there, I ask them in the meeting, and I grill people in the meetings to sign up. It's as much me interviewing the kid as it is the kid coming in to see if they want to sign up for 6-0. Like you can't just walk in and sign up and get a membership tag and like scan it like, oh, I came to ride the elliptical today. That's not what we do at this place.
Right.
This is a platform to success for all the high school kids that want to go to college, for the college kids that are looking for NIL deals. We had 10 guys this year grad transfer. Like Drake Nugent went to Michigan from Stanford, got a huge NIL deal. Casey Roddick went from Colorado to Florida State on a huge deal. You know, like Austin Johnson went from CU to Charlotte on a big deal. Went with Coach Devan down there, who was there last year at CU. Alex Padilla went to SMU. Cole Taylor went from LSU to Washington or to West Virginia, and it just keeps going.
Yeah.
So the platform, and then the guys that jump to the NFL, the Ryan Jensens, McGoverns, Dalton Reisners, all those guys. So really, what we try and focus on is. The reason I'm recording everything and posting it is because the majority of the reps are competition-based. The hip stuff is necessary, and I put that on there because I'm trying to show people what coaches look for. They look for flexibility from your shoulders to your feet. Can you turn the middle of your body and actually be proficient in the way you look? Some guys can't do it, and it's either ha-ha, you're getting laughed at, or it's funny, and you got to determine which one's which. But the competition reps in the gym, Ryan, they always have a winner and always have a loser. Mm-hmm. And the comments are the fans. And if you can't handle winning, you're going to get too big for yourself and you're going to start losing on film. And if you can't handle losing, then you're a loser and you're not learning.
Yep.
And if you listen to the fans, then obviously you should be sitting with them. So it gets them ready for what they're about to walk into. If you can handle 130,000 people watching you on TikTok and commenting and having whatever opinion they have, who cares? Then you can handle 110,000 people at Michigan Stadium over your head yelling at you. So you should be able to, stand in the fire if you're going to be part of the flame. So it's just kind of what it is.
All right. One more question about the gym. You have a guy there.
Yep.
Gage Ginther.
Gage Ginther.
Who is the number one player in the state.
Yes, sir. 4-star.
He has an offer from Colorado and some other places.
Some other places, I'd say.
Where's this thing going?
All right, so look. Gage walked in, proud, Fossil Ridge,
Yeah.
I can't remember if they're the Eagles or something, but whatever they are, Fossil Ridge has put out some really good players in the past. We've had Trey Zune in the past, and Trey's now the starting left tackle at Texas A&M. So there's a long lineage up there of good players. He walked in as a tight end and has really blossomed into a hell of a football player. He's huge, he's athletic, he's smart, he cares, he works his ass off. If he stays healthy and develops correctly, he's an NFL football player, and it's not a debate.
Hell yeah.
So when his number one is CU and his number two is the commies to the east, Nebraska, as a proud Buffalo and a guy who played at CU during an era from 2000 to 2004 where we whipped their ass a lot. We beat them by 30. We closed the door the next year, and then we were in 2004. We kept them out of a bowl game for the first time in 50 years.
Yep.
So I take a lot of pride in that. I'm not trying to lose the crown jewel of this class to them. So pretty much anything and everything we have to do up in Boulder to keep this kid in Denver or in Colorado is what we have to do, period, because he's that good. Yep. He's the kind of guy that you get him on campus, he develops, he'll early enroll wherever he goes, so that'll put him on campus during spring. That'll be his red shirt, and he's on the field week one as a true freshman, playing guard next to a veteran tackle like a Jake Wiley, like a Travis Gray, more Dungeon family guys that are still up there in Boulder. Or like Big Brown, the big kid Brown, that was here the other day from Jackson State, who looks like a hell of a player. You get him up there and you sandwich him between veterans, and he develops into a Nate Solter, David Bakhtiari, Andre Gerard type.
Well, that's what I was going to say. When you said tight end to line, I was like, you got to know the Nate Solter story.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's very educated on what it is. But look, to sit here and act like he didn't have fun in Lincoln, there's a reason we hate that place. There's a reason.
Yep.
I respect them more than anything. I just want to crush them. I hate them more than anything also. So whatever needs to be done to make sure he's not wearing Nebraska red, because then he can never come back. Like, let's just be real. Gage, I love you and everything and your family. But if you don't want to be family anymore, go there. I love you and everything, but please, let's be real.
I love that. And, it's a nice little advantage that we have here.
Dungeon family.
Just dungeon, no family.
Just going to the dungeon, exactly. No, but look, talking to Gage, not to like spoil anything for the kid, but he would say this too. He's in Knoxville this weekend. He's going to Happy Valley. Penn State offered him. Oklahoma and Coach Brutenbaugh, and they just got Josh Bates and his dad, Justin Bates, played with me at CU.
Oh, yeah.
And CU couldn't bag him under Durrell, which that one made me real mad. But they offered Gage too, and Brutenbaugh, it pretty much develops offense, like superstar offensive linemen in the National Football League. If you look around, Oklahoma guys are doing pretty well.
Yeah, Creed Humphrey,
And
Orlando
Trent
Brown.
Williams, yeah, they're doing pretty good. So Brutenbaugh, that's a real possibility as well. And then there's about 4 or 5 other schools that are at the top of college football, and that's all I'll say, that are about to get involved in the Gage Ginther sweepstakes too. So if Coach Sanders is the recruiting guru that we think he is, which he is, he's going to have his work cut out for this one, because this kid can play.
The comments will be quick to let you know it's Coach Prime and only Coach Prime.
Okay.
Well,
look, it is. That's true. Thank you for educating me.
all right. Speaking of Coach Prime, you and I are probably in the top 0.001% of people that love the Buffs.
Yes.
And I think this is the first time we've actually had a chance for more than a couple seconds to sit down and talk about Coach Prime being the head coach at the Colorado
I think all
Buffaloes.
we've done is text each other like, "Can you effing believe this is happening?"
Yeah, exactly. And I think maybe we ran into each other at the opening press conference. But
Yeah, and we were like,
just for like 5
We're like, "Oh my god!"
Exactly. What has this been like for you, just kind of watching this thing turn? Because you have an interesting view at the way things are going, especially with the way kids are talking about the school. But now we're a few months into this, and I'm sure you've heard they sold out the spring game.
They sure did.
Which they've never even sold anything for the spring game in terms of actually
There were like 18
charging
people
money.
there last
but
year,
like,
bro.
not only are we putting 45,000 in the stadium, we actually charged people money to do it. I said this yesterday on the show. When the Broncos introduced Peyton Manning, they had a scrimmage at Mile High. There was 41,000 people there. Coach Prime is outdrawing Peyton Manning in Colorado.
Wow, that's big time. All right, so look, it's been rough for a long time.
Yep.
And let's just be real. I'm going to say this again, and I can't believe I'm saying this again. But I just want everybody to hear it, okay?
I have no idea where he's going.
I was a senior on the last team that won a bowl game in Boulder. I'm 41 years old. I've got a 13-year-old that's being recruited now into college football. And I was holding the trophy in Houston the last time we went 8-5, and I was angry. Yep. We beat all of our rivals. We had a bunch of NFL football players. I thought it was a very underachieving season, and I was sitting there holding the trophy like, hey, we'll get way more of these. Nope, it's been that long. So 04 is the last time we won a bowl game. I've
been to a couple since then.
Been to a couple,
not won
but
them.
haven't won, and it's
and
important.
I really mean a couple.
It's been like 4, I think, and they've been ugly. So the reason that I went to Colorado is because I love that place. I bleed black and gold. You know this. I try to do everything humanly possible to promote the school inside the walls of 6-0 to a point. I don't work for them, and they've got to do their end in keeping guys home, right?
Yep.
And throughout time, it's been, like they get a good couple Colorado kids, but the upper echelon guys are leaving the state because they want to go win football games, and they understand what's happening in Boulder even more than we do because we're fans of the university and we want them to win.
Yep.
We're always optimistic. Very rarely are you going to get me and you sitting around going, oh, I think they're going to be awful. We're always like, they're going to make a bowl game.
Yeah.
I remember last year I was talking to Henry, and who I love. And I was like, H, I think they're going to win like 8 or 9 games. They're going to make a bowl game. And he was like, they're going to be awful. And I was like, you're crazy. And they went 1-11.
Yep.
So the reason I try and help so much, the reason I'm always on the sideline, the reason I'm always around the team is because I knew this was coming eventually.
Yep.
It's not just going to always be the way it's been. We had a pretty bad 20-year run, I'm not going to lie. But about a month before Prime was hired, okay, I was on the phone with Klatt and Bloom, and we were talking about...
Next time you're on the phone with those two, just page me in.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. And I love both of them. And, they're my brothers. They're guys I played with, and they're very interwoven into the inner workings of the university, to say the least.
And college football at large.
And college football in general. So pretty much whatever Klatt tells me is gold. And I'm talking to Joel, who we were captains together, and talking to JB, and we're talking about, different options for the head coaching job, right? And the conversation keeps coming up of like Brian Harston and this guy and Bronco Mendenhall and this guy and blah, 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 blah. And Joel and I and Bloom are sitting there talking, and I can't remember if Joel said it to Bloom or Bloom said it to Joel, but it was, don't let them go safe.
Yep.
We were all like, man, make them go great. And I remember all three of us saying it pretty much to each other at the same time. Like, we have to go great on this hire or we are going to die. No one will even know what we're talking about. We're all old dudes now, man. We can't just sit here and bank on the 90s and 01 and whatnot anymore. Like, this has got to change. We can't just keep hiring average guys to run an elite program. And it was, Joel, when you go back and talk to Rick, when you go back and talk to DeStefano, when you're on that advisory board, do not let them go safe. The alumni, everybody that played, we're all dying for greatness. Make it happen. And that message was reiterated, and they listened.
Yep.
And it's like when you see Rick George up there, and I see Rick all the time, but the last time I saw him, every time I see him now, it's like I hug him and I just say, thanks, Rick.
Yeah.
Thanks, bro. Like, really, really appreciate you seeing how much we want this to happen, how much we care. And it's nice finally, and we've known this forever, Ryan, but for how many years did we hear that the university doesn't have the funding? The university doesn't have the money. The university doesn't have this. No.
Colorado law won't allow this or
blah,
that.
blah, blibbity, blah. Finally, they just stood up and did it. Scared money doesn't make money, and that's a fact.
Yep.
And the University of Colorado put their money where their mouth is, and they're seeing the effects. And if you're Auburn or like one of these other schools that didn't want to hire Coach Prime, what are you? I mean, How dumb do you feel? Because, and I will say this, and then I'll shut up. I don't think that Coach Prime is the kind of guy that wants to come here for 2 years, turn this place around, get to like the Alamo Bowl with a 9-win season and just leave after his kid leaves.
Yeah.
I don't. I really don't. Not after, right after the press conference, the first meeting upstairs was with me. I was in a side room with Coach Hart, with Rodney, his number 2. Coach Prime walked in. We started immediately talking about players. Recruit this kid, this kid, this kid, this kid, this kid. And the next week, all of those guys were in Boulder around all their 5 stars.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think that he is motivated to take something that was at the bottom of the barrel that gave him an opportunity when everybody else didn't, that believed in Coach Prime when everyone else didn't. And he brought his players in, he brought his coaches in. And right now we're seeing the effects of his greatness blow this university up. And we haven't even played a game yet, man. We haven't done anything.
3 practices.
We haven't done anything. So I think that this is just the beginning stages of greatness. And the coolest thing about Coach Prime is how he makes you feel, in my opinion. When we went up to junior day, I took my son, Nicholas, and I had met Coach, obviously, at the press conference, and we had about a 20-minute meeting. So he knows me, and I went up there, took 6 or 7 of my guys. And we're walking out to go on the tour, and my son's walking by, and he goes, Coach McChesney, good to see you. You run 6-0, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah. And he looks right at Nick and grabs him, and kind of grabs his shoulder, and he goes, you're a big one. You're going to follow in your dad's footsteps? He goes, I'd love to play here. This is my favorite school. And he goes, you're going to be a really good-looking Buffalo. And he just kind of throws his arm around him, and he's like, let's take a picture. And I'm like, let's take a picture. And I'm like fumbling my phone like a fan, trying to get it out of my pocket so I can take a damn picture. And when we're walking away, the elation on my son's face, a guy that he's never seen play in his life, but he knows who he is. I was like, wow, that's power right there.
Yep.
And the power that this man possesses is special. So that's Buffalo power right there, bro. That's what it is now. So Just to think that I'm a little excited is probably an understatement.
I love it. I was just letting you cook there because I was eating it up.
Hey, man, let Matt cook. It's definitely not Russ.
So yeah, I mean,
do not let him cook.
When I think about, Coach Prime, and he said something recently in an ESPN article. He said, I'm a need to be needed type of person, and he saw that we needed him.
We sure did.
And I'm so glad that you and Joel and Jeremy Bloom and all of the people who were able to make an impact pushed for this. And I'm so glad that Rick George shot for the stars, because I actually, you were kind of hinting at this, but I sent out a tweet that after they fired Coach Durrell, and I said, this next hire is the most important hire in the history of the University of Colorado, because if you don't get this one right, you will be left behind. We both know that college football is about to change dramatically.
Significantly.
Whatever we know it as now, it's going to change one more time, and then I think it's going to change one more time after that for good. I think it's going to end up being two conferences, the Big Ten, the SEC. It's going to be like the Aflac and the State Farm, and that's going to be it. And it's going to be the Eastern and the Western Conference, or like the AL and the NL. It's just going to be two massive conferences, and that's going to be it. And if you're not in that, you're essentially playing intramurals.
If you're left out of that party, the disparity in funding between television dollars and opportunity is going to be so drastic that it's going to be like trying to recruit a kid to Washington or Eastern Washington.
Yes.
To Colorado or to Northern Colorado.
Yes.
I'm not even talking about Colorado State.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, they're getting left out. And I say unfortunately because I wish that they could figure out a way to get into a major conference, because it's more money for the state. It's more eyes on programs. And it's better when you beat their ass. Let's just be real. But, okay, so look, college football realignment is very real. Yep. It's going to happen again. We know this. I'd imagine the Pac-12 is going to go bye-bye.
Sadly.
Is it?
I'm kind of sad.
I'm a Big 12 guy. My entire division's gone bye-bye. My entire conference gone bye-bye. Do I want them to leave the Pac-12? Not necessarily. They're in it, so you might as well try and make it work. But if the LA market's gone, Ryan, why the hell are we in the conference?
Yeah, and we won't be for long.
We're not. So there's two options, and from what, background noise, Big 12 is probably the most prevalent. Would you agree with that?
In terms of what?
Just conference move for the Buffs.
The most,
like Utah, CU, Arizona State move to the Big 12. That's probably the safest bet.
Yeah, the most likely. Obviously, we'd love to just go straight to the Big Ten and get that over with. But
I'm glad you brought that up. So from what I'm hearing, because of the Deion effect and the fact that the Big Ten wants to control time zones from New Jersey to LA, and with the exception of Las Vegas, because you're not putting UNLV in a major conference, with the exception of Nevada, if you put Utah and Colorado in the Big Ten, you control every major time zone in the country.
Yep.
And that means they could play 20-team pods or 5-team pods in a 20-team conference. And that 5-team pod for the Buffs would be UCLA and SC, Colorado and Utah, and Nebraska.
Nebraska and
Iowa.
one more. Iowa. Sounds great to me.
So, bro.
I love that.
How do we make this happen?
Yeah, exactly. Well,
that is the goal. If we're trying to get into a major conference, let's go for the Big Ten, not the Big 12.
And when this coaching search started, everyone is out on Rick George, right? Because of how Carl Durrell went down. But I was defending Rick, and I essentially said, he's 1 for 2 on hires. He made a good hire in Mel Tucker.
Yeah.
Got his back stabbed by him.
Sure did.
And was put in a really bad position by him, which didn't allow him to succeed on the next one. But I said, let's let him see this one. But the big thing I said is, there is no one you would rather have driving this ship into conference realignment. Rick George knows everyone, whether it's Big Ten, SEC, competition committee, or I should say playoff committee, all of this stuff. Rick George is tied in everywhere. He's the person that if they're going to find a way to do what you just said, he's the person you want in charge.
Well, think about this, too. He has the cojones to make big moves.
Yep.
Rick isn't scared. Rick doesn't sit around and be like, well, I wonder what's going to happen if I do. No. He went out and hired Deion when everybody was like, we're going to take his social media away, and we don't want this, and we don't want that. I am so glad they've embraced the social media side of the world up there. It has totally changed the entire perception of the entire program.
Yep.
And that's because of Deion and his sons, his son Darius, who's an awesome guy, he's really the key to Deion up there. Because he's the one that I think is scheduling all the shows and getting everybody going in the right direction.
And Sam deserves a shout out too.
And everybody else. I mean, his team is the one thing about Coach Prime. Sorry, everyone, is he's extremely insulated, which is a good thing.
Well, he has his circle of trust.
Really, really good thing, and it is. It's like the trust tree. Or we're not in the tree anymore with the trust, and that. I think that's a breath of fresh air up in Boulder to have a celebrity coach. When's the last time we've had a celebrity coach in Boulder? Like where he walks in and you're like, yo, that's the head coach of CU, bro. Like,
well, and what's great about him is he is a celebrity. He also happens to be a hell of a football coach.
Yep.
And I think that's lost on some people is that like this guy, he gets social media, he turns heads no matter where he goes. Everyone knows who he is, so he has that celebrity factor. But above all else, he knows ball, like for real. And he's coached. He's been an offensive coordinator in high school. He obviously knows defense like the back of his hand. And I think that he can coach. And I think that even if you were to strip away, the celebrity status, which obviously helps in getting doors open, I think that this dude can coach football really well. And I'm excited to see that.
He wants to do it too, right?
Yeah, he loves it.
He's not doing this for bread. He's Deion Sanders. He's got stacks of cash, bro.
Yep.
Mountains of cash, right? So he's not doing this for the bread or for the backpats. He's doing this to affect change and help young men and breed competitive greatness for his kids and have a I love the fact that he brought his whole family with him.
Yep.
I mean, it's incredible. It's what true family environments are supposed to mean in college football. That when you say this is family, that is what it's supposed to be. And that's why people gravitate towards him and why guys are dropping Miami and Ohio State and Alabama and Clemson, Florida State. They're dropping those programs to come to Boulder now, and we haven't even played a game yet. So I will say this. He's a great coach, yes. He's a great motivator, yes. He grabs your attention immediately because that's a first ballot Hall of Famer. But it's not just a first ballot Hall of Famer. That's the GOAT. Like that is the original swag drip of the NFL is Coach Prime.
Yep.
And every one of us grew up watching him high step as a Niner down the sideline in the Georgia Dome. Like, this is my house. And I was like a 12-year-old kid, like, God, man, I wish I could do that. So that on top of the fact that he's such a great pro, it elevates everything he says. But really the best thing about Coach Prime, in my opinion, is the humility that he shows by hiring other great coaches.
Yes.
He went out and hired Coach Lewis, a head coach. He's got 3 or 4 head coaches on that staff. Willie Taggart's on the staff.
He's not, but
he's not.
They have a couple others.
Oh, I thought he was. Well,
he was going to be, and then he did something else.
Okay, cool. Good for him. But still, he's got multiple dudes on the staff that have a ton of experience. Coach O'Boyle, the offensive line coach, is a bona fide star at that position, and that's his dream job.
Yep.
And he loves it, and he's wanted to be there for years, and now he is. We speak the same language. The first thing he said to me at our meeting was, I need ass kickers. I want guys that I can coach. I want guys who want to be great. And if they're soft, I can't have them in the room. And I'm like, dog, you are speaking my language. God, let's sign them up.
It's kind of funny because when Tyler Brown was sitting right there the other day, we were talking about Coach O'Boyle versus other offensive line coaches. He's like, well, offensive line coaches are kind of all the same.
We are. I mean, look, we want guys. Well,
and he did end up getting deeper into the differences, but essentially, offensive line coaches sound a lot like that most of the time, which is a great thing. There's a reason.
You're looking for selfless individuals. Like anybody that's going to play offensive line. When I had to move from defense to offense, because I am not a born offensive lineman, and don't you call me one.
Played defensive line at CU for those who didn't know.
When I moved in the league to offense, the first thing that Bill Callahan, who the ex-Nebraska coach, that was a very weird dynamic, by the way. The first thing he said to me was, this is a perfect position for guys who like the work. And it really stuck with me as a young player then, and it's something I've remembered to today. and I'll take with all my guys is I'm looking for dudes that aren't going to do the work. I'm looking for somebody that likes the work, bro. And like Coach OB reiterates that. Like, I want somebody that wakes up and is sitting at their locker for running excited. I want somebody that's sitting at his locker for practice excited. I want goosebumps tingling on day 6 of camp.
Yep.
Because too much of this happens in football. Too much whining, complaining, moping, bitching, all of that at the locker with a guy in pads who's like, oh, it's hot and I have to practice and I'm so depressed and I don't want to be here. Well, then get your shit and leave. Like that, you don't need to be here.
Yeah.
And that's rampant. It's been rampant in Boulder for years. And it's like the curse of this generation where you like kids figure out that they have to work for this and they're like stunned. Like, oh my God, you mean to tell me that no one's just going to give me a scholarship? I thought it was called getting a scholarship. Nah, bro, it's called earning a scholarship.
Yep.
So, I think that the coaching staff, it all revolves around the confidence, though, exuded by Coach Prime. And you want to talk about confident talk. Oh, my God. Like he might as well just rename it Sanders.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love his quote, don't let my confidence offend your insecurity.
It's my favorite quote.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I put it on the wall at the gym.
Did you?
Oh, I did. Absolutely.
Oh, I love that.
And, the mural has a big CU sign. I put it right underneath the CU sign.
That's perfect. All right. Well, we could keep going on this for a while, but I do have to remind everyone about Breckenridge Brewery. It is a Breck Brew Friday, which means it's time to head down to your local liquor store, get you some Breck brews. Weather's warming up a little bit. We're almost to my favorite beer, Strawberry Sky season. But we're probably still in Avalanche Amber Ale season, so check out our friends over at Breckenridge Brewery. You can use the Breck Brew locator to find them anywhere near you, whether you're in Colorado, Texas, Mississippi, wherever you may be. You can use that Breck Brew locator over at breckbrew.com/beer locator to find Breck Brews near you. Shout out to our friends at Breck Brew. And also shout out to our friends at Fubo TV, who now give you an opportunity to watch the Nuggets and Avs. For those of you who live in Colorado, you know that we've been having an issue with that for far too long because of billionaire greed. We can't fix that, but we can help you watch the Nuggets and Avs with Fubo TV. Honestly, an awesome service. I was actually using it even before they became a partner here at DNVR, and I love it. I've been enjoying it a lot. Watched Nuggets game on there last night. I'll be watching it on there again tonight. So shout out to our friends over at Fubo TV. Use the link in our description or just scan the QR code right there. That's fancy. To get Fubo TV for 15% off.
That's what I used to watch the Nuggets.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. There you go. That's a great thing about our sponsors. Like when someone sits down here, I just say, what's your order at Illegal Pete's? I don't have to ask them, do you eat at Illegal Pete's?
Of course you do.
And the same thing, Fubo TV. Everyone's using it now. All right. So since we had you here, I figured this would be a fun exercise to do because
I love exercising.
Oh,
I do actually.
I wish I did
every day, or I'll kill someone.
I want to rank the schedule by which wins we want the most.
Okay.
We know it's going to be number one, but I think there's some interesting choices you can make here, and one team in particular is going to be very interesting where I rank them. So let's just start with number one. We're going to bring up the graphic. The win that you got to have no matter what is, of course,
Nebraska.
Yes.
That's the number one by far, because so many people think it's going to be an L, which is 100% just logo bias. I think Nebraska is by far number one, and if they can find a way, when they find a way to win that game, it'll be pretty exciting, and it'll be a great day in September. Usually they're a great day in November, but the last two games have been pretty awesome. Well, I know we both went to both of them.
Yep.
Out in the one in Lincoln with LaVisca catching the game winner was insane.
A dream.
I had to Pesavento.
I almost passed out.
Pesavento, Tufts, and I had to get a police escort out of the stadium.
Oh, I love that.
And then the next year, the game in Boulder in overtime was like a dream come true, bro.
I know.
That's by far the number one.
It's funny. I don't know if you guys saw that. The software that Alyssa is using for this graphic, didn't want to put Nebraska next to the number 1. It was just like, that's
we
against
can't
the
do
rule.
that.
Yeah. But
that I don't like the way that looks. But on a hit list, I like the way that looks.
Exactly, number 1.
If it's a hit list, then I'm with that. They should be at the top.
Did I ever tell you the story of that game in Lincoln where, first of all, it started really cold and it ended up really hot by the end of the game. So everyone's like a little extra fired up. There's this Nebraska fan in front of me, and we're like talking like heavy shit, but not like angry. You know, we're having
It's competitive banter.
Yes, it was good banter, but it was like heated. Every time one of us made a play, we were going back and forth. So when LaVisca made that catch, the stands went so crazy that I actually got pushed off of my, bleacher, and I landed on the dude, and we rolled down like 3 rows, and he thought
awesome.
he thought I tackled him. So he gets up and like cocks back, and I was like, no, I got pushed.
I'm just celebrating.
I was like, I don't really want to fight you right now, but it was funny.
I'll hug you, but you're wearing the wrong color.
Yep, broke my sunglasses.
I broke my sunglasses that day, bro. When at the end of the game, my sunglasses got smashed when Tufts and I smashed each other on the sideline.
There you go.
Yeah, it was. What a great day that was. We got a picture in the annals of Memorial Stadium. Just look, we know we hate them, but let's respect greatness, right? They've got all the years of like all their great teams right on the wall and like all their wins. So there's the 0-1 where they were undefeated and ranked number 1 and came to Boulder and we smashed them. And Tufts and I and Pesavento went by the sign and took a picture with the 3 of us pointing at the score.
62-36. Yeah.
And we posted it, and there was a lot of people that got mad at us for posting it. Like, how could you post this? And I was like, well,
I'm gonna post it again.
We're gonna keep posting it too. I've been posting it since.
Man, I can't wait for the week leading up to that, and we'll probably have to have you on again there. But since I have you now,
let me know, bro.
And we have a lot of new listeners. Do you want to tell the story of when you got a recruiting call from Nebraska?
Oh, okay, all right. So look, I love CU, and they were number 1 on my list my whole life, and they offered me as a sophomore, and I committed on the spot. Well, they offered me when I was a sophomore against Baylor when they wore the gold uniforms and black helmets. They won 18-16. Neuheisel offered me in the office in front of my parents. Snot-nosed kid. It was incredible. Committed on the spot. Stayed committed the whole time. Was the first commit in my class of year 2000. Well, Frank Solich gets the job, and he becomes Nebraska's coach, and they offer me. And they're like, "Why don't you come out to a visit?" And I'm like, "No." And they want me to come out to camp, and I'm like, "No." And they just keep, bugging me. And so he calls like, I don't know, a week or something before signing day, whatever it was. And he's like, calls, and my mother's upstairs, and all I hear is, "Matthew!" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Frank Solich is on the phone." I run upstairs, and they're like, "Frank Solich, University of Nebraska head coach, is on the phone. He wants to talk to you." And I pick up the phone. I go, "Frank, coach, this is Matt. I'm committed to the University of Colorado. I'll see you the day after Thanksgiving. Please don't call this house again." Click.
Bang.
And that was the day. And after we whipped their ass in 0-1, we actually saw him on the field afterwards, and he kind of just looked at me and just walked by. I was like, "Yeah!" I ran by.
See ya, as the fans were rushing.
That was a pretty good day. Pretty good day.
That's epic. All right, let's get to number 2 on the list. And this one is interesting because from a traditional rivalry standpoint, I think the conventional thinking here would have been CSU. It's not for me, and I talked with
not for me either.
We talked about this right before the show. It's not for you either. What's the answer?
That's C.
Yep.
And we've never beaten them. It is a hump that I really, really, really want the Buffs to get over before SC leaves. Even if CU has to stay in the conference for a year or two, which is, like a gutted Pac-12, you still want to beat them before they leave. And it will be a season ruiner. Maybe it's early in the year they can get over the hump if they lose early.
Yeah.
But that game could be the representative for the Pac-12 title too.
Yep.
Or it could be the first piece of a rematch for the Pac-12 title.
Could be. I forgot that you can do that now.
The best 2 teams play. So the Oregon game obviously is huge, but it's in Eugene, and that's going to be pretty tough. That is the second place one for me.
The only thing that I would say on behalf of CSU, and I honestly don't even know if they're
3
going to get 3, but losing to them is way worse than losing to SC.
So that's
But this
my
is
question.
like, how bad do you want to win, not how bad do you not want to lose?
Well, look, I know this is going to sound cocky, but there's no way in hell they lose to CSU. So I don't even put them at 3. If we're talking about just the team that I want to beat the most in the 3rd ranking, it would probably be TCU.
Okay, dude. I
We're on
didn't
the
think
same
we were
page,
going to be
yeah.
on the same page
So
with
we are,
everything. I
we
thought
are.
I had some spicy takes, but apparently not.
Because I think TCU is going to be a shell of what they were.
Yep.
They're down their quarterback. They're down multiple defensive seniors. They're down offensive linemen. I mean, they're down their best receiver. And I'm not saying down all those guys going to the league. They're going to be ranked high because of last year's team. Mm-hmm. It's going to be on national TV. It's Coach Prime's first game. And it's just set. I already took a number where they were like 17-point dogs. I already took that number on FanDuel because
can't say that on this show.
Okay, well, I already took that number regardless, just for the simple fact that it was such a big odd.
It's a bad number.
So, look, I think TCU should be 3rd, and then we can put CSU after that. I guess.
Well, and quickly on CSU, this one is the most for the vibes. If they go in and beat TCU week 1, first of all, we're already kind of insufferable. You think we're insufferable now? We will be so insufferable going into that.
I don't
Nebraska
even know if
game.
I want them to beat TCU week 1.
I definitely
I do, but if they win that game, it's like they're going to feel so good about themselves going into Nebraska week. And I want you to feel good going into that week, but I don't want you. I need hate in their heart. September 8th.
Well,
I need true hate in your heart on the 8th.
I love Tyler Brown was here, like I said last week or earlier this week. I can't remember. And he said, I said, have you started to understand some of these rivalries? And he said, I know we can't wear red. So someone up there is doing some good job educating people.
This is true. When we were up there at junior day, I heard multiple times from kids in the stands or kids in the seats in the team room, like, you can't wear that red if you come to school here. And I was like, man, that's what I'm talking about.
I love that.
That's good.
I love that. So maybe we need to build like a committee, a hate committee.
I'm into this. Hate committees are good. It depends on what we're talking about, but if it's a Nebraska hate committee, I'm in.
Sports hate is healthy.
I want to be one of the chairmans or something.
Yes, you can be chairman of the hate board.
Oh, fantastic. This is awesome. I'm right in line with this.
We got to bring the committee in that week and allow you guys to speak.
Oh, man.
And make these kids hate them.
Well, I will say this. I cannot wait to go up there that week and talk to that team about that game. Yep. I cannot wait.
So we're going to win.
I know we're talking
TCU.
about Nebraska again, but still.
No, it's fine. We're going to win TCU, and they're still going to be hungry. Coach Prime won't let them be anything else.
I agree. So CSU's 4. That's fair.
Yeah, CSU goes in 4. Like, none of these other conference rivalries really matter that much. And I think... I think it would be disingenuous because a lot of times we try to downplay how much we care about CSU. We do care. It's just, I think this is the right place in the ranking. They matter more than, ASU or whatever.
I'll put it like this. If they beat TCU in Nebraska and they're 2-0 and CSU figures out a way to win that game in Folsom, it would be I understand. I get it. But look, I was on 2 teams in Boulder that lost to those guys when we weren't supposed to. And that rivalry is fantastic when it is at its height.
Yeah, for sure.
And it requires both schools to be on top of their game, which they haven't been in years. And, the last thing you want to do is lose to them in Folsom, which I'm glad I never did. So, look, I hope Jay Norvell has his troops ready because they're going to be walking into a buzzsaw.
Yeah, and the students care about this game a lot still. Because they have they have a lot more friends at CSU than they have at Nebraska.
Can I ask you something real quick? And this is, look, all of Buff Nation. I really, really, really want them to either flip the student section or flip the sidelines. So our students
are behind
their players.
I like that.
Rather than, I can't tell you how many times as a player I would yell at my own fan. Like somebody's in the back, Barnett's terrible, fire him. And I have to turn around and be like, yo, shut your MF in mouth and sit your MF and ass and the MF down. And everyone's like, way to go. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm yelling at my own dude. I don't want to yell at him. I want to yell at the other people.
Right.
Like, and then the other team's in the shade and we're in the sun. Like, that's one thing that I've never understood. Why the hell are we on that sideline? Just because of Ralphie? We can't run him by him right off the bat. We have to run him by him on the retreat. Like, how about we run him by him immediately? Yeah. Right when they walk out of the room there at Folsom, a buffalo runs by him.
The only thing I can think of, honestly, is just the way that the locker rooms are oriented.
Well, they need to fix it.
But that doesn't matter.
That shouldn't matter.
Also, this is
like
good.
even if the locker room is where it's at on that side of the Champions Center, you could still walk them out and run across the field and back around and then go to the.
Yeah.
You could figure out a different route to run.
Yeah, no, it's not some sort of logistical nightmare.
But that's one thing I would really look at if I was Coach Prime is like, look, I'm either flipping the student section to the other side.
And put the team in the shade. Put the team in the shade.
And then, or I'm putting my team in the shade.
Yeah.
And then I'm putting the other team. And the thing about Folsom is the stands are literally right on top of the players.
Yep.
They are. You can see. I can't tell you how many times as a kid I used to walk over to the other sideline and they'd be drawing up plays and we'd sit there and we'd just be like, that's not going to work. And they'd turn around and look at us and be like, yeah, it's never going to work. Alfred Williams is going to kick your ass. And we just run off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, come on. Our students are really, really awesome. They kick ass, and they're enthusiastic, and they're pretty funny, and they come up with some good stuff. So let them go roast the other team, not our team.
Yeah, I like this. And flip the orientation, have the Buffs in the shade, because you want to keep the fans there because you can charge a little bit more for those seats. But on your point, those are also the softest fans that are currently sitting behind the opposing team's bench.
Yeah,
it's the oldest,
oldest,
alumni section there is. So
and those are the ones that are going to leave or sell their tickets to Nebraska people.
Oh, don't get me started.
Can you imagine if our student section was behind the Nebraska bench?
Oof. Maybe it might be.
Oh my God.
Now that I think about it, there's probably a reason why they don't do that.
Well, look, I watched our student section in 2005 get kicked out of the Nebraska game. So, I mean, I was a rookie in New York watching the game like, wow, we are getting kicked out of the student section. I've never seen this before.
So I was 13, and I think I started going in the student section right around then. And they kicked out the section. They were like, we're not restarting the game until sections whatever and whatever leave the stadium.
That was a bad
So
day.
I just scurried out of there and went back to where my parents were sitting. But all the rest of them got kicked out. I'm pretty sure they started rioting outside.
Yeah, well, there was definitely tear gas that evening, for sure. So,
all right, great idea. Let's move on to number 5. So this is where
great ideas, bro. Let me tell you,
I can tell. So here are the options: Oregon, at Arizona State, Stanford at home, at UCLA, Oregon State at home, Arizona at home, at Washington State, and at Utah.
I'm gonna go.
Probably got to go Utah.
I'm gonna go at Utah. Yeah. At Utah 5, and then at Oregon State at home for number 6.
Oh, how come?
Because the last time they came to Boulder, they overcame a 5 touchdown deficit, and I woke up from a nap and we were not bowl eligible. That's why.
And we didn't become bowl eligible.
And then we didn't, and we went 5-7.
We were 5-0.
I think that loss right there started a downward spiral that put us in the position to hire Coach Sanders.
I was going to say, Coach Prime, we actually might have that game to thank.
Yeah, if we don't have that game, then we don't have all this other awful stuff that happens.
Because you probably keep Coach McIntyre if they go to a bowl that year.
If they go to a bowl that year, they don't fire Coach Mack, so just keep the party going. So,
man,
7, I'd say the Ducks.
All right, this is where
W in Eugene was pretty awesome back in the day, so beating them up there would be pretty fun.
This is probably the first one where we disagree on. I wouldn't have had Oregon State so high, but it's a home game. It's homecoming, so I'll allow it.
And they're going to be, look, they got DJ Alphabet. I can't say that kid's last name to save my life, but he's really, really good. And when he plays under control, he's really good. He's also sporadic at times. But he gives them, talking to the Oregon State coaching staff as much as I do, because they recruit the hell out of the room. Anthony Perkins, great buff, is their DB coach. Mm-hmm. They're super high on DJ, and they think that he's the guy that can help them win the Pac-12 and get them to a playoff. And that's the way they're talking about that team up in Corvallis. So I think that they're extremely good, and they're going to be good when they come to Boulder, and it's going to be a tough game.
Well-coached team, too.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you go at Oregon. I like that. That is the first conference game. So in a world in which they get TCU, Nebraska, and Colorado State, Colorado's probably ranked, legitimately ranked.
What is this schedule ranked? It's got to be the top
up there.
10.
Yeah, I mean,
this is like my junior year when we played. It was like CSU, Washington State, UCLA, at Florida State, and then we started the Big 12.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
holy God, just a gauntlet.
This is one of those things where I think we're one of 3 schools in the country that don't have an FCS team.
Good.
Or 3 schools in the Power 5 that don't have an FCS team.
And all the SEC teams that played, like Alabama plays Mercer over Thanksgiving. Yeah. You suck.
Yep.
You need to change that.
All right. Remaining ones that we need to rank.
UCLA, I put 8. Okay. I hate them. They're super soft.
That's
always have been.
At UCLA,
that's going to be a tough
Halloween
game.
weekend.
It's going to be a tough game.
Okay.
And who's after that?
So you got ASU still, Stanford, home to Arizona, and at Washington State.
At Washington State, 9.
Okay.
They're going to be pretty good, I think. And Pullman is so terrible that it's hard to win there, and they bank on that. They know that it's in the middle of nowhere. It's super
Some
small.
Like sleeting games.
No one cares. It's super cold. It's the week before Utah. It's a big game, but it's only big if they're good. If not, it's just like, great, we get to go to Pullman. And then after that,
I'm going to step in here and put in Arizona State. I guarantee you, if it was me and Jake doing this ranking, I think Arizona State probably would have come in at 6. And the reason is because we have our counterpart podcast at PHNX, the PHNX.
There's a nice little rivalry brewing there.
Yeah, well, exactly. And they're like all over Kenny Dillingham, which I don't know why.
Who's that?
Exactly. And they're hating on Coach Prime. I have like multiple of their tweets bookmarked.
They're just mad they didn't hire him.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what are you hating on? You could have hired him, and then you'd have this roller coaster, and we'd have Kenny Dillingham.
They're like, it's all hype, no substance. We're like, let's see.
Yeah, okay.
All right, last 2.
Travis Hunter seems like hype.
Yeah, exactly.
Nope.
Stanford and home to Arizona. Both at home.
I'll put Stanford at 12.
Okay.
And then Arizona at 11.
What's the reasoning?
Well, Stanford is about to be an independent. And Arizona, look, I think Arizona is another team that's on the up. But those are just, I get excited about those games because I'm a Buff fan and they're home games.
Yep.
And they're winnable. Yep. And I think they do win both those games at home. But if we're going to talk about just importance, if we're saying importance, we might want to put them higher because winning them is super important to getting to a bowl game. But if we're talking about just like excitement level for games, I guess that's the order that I would put them in, if that makes sense.
I like it. I think it's fair. Those games they're one of those ones where it's like you need it because it's a home game, but there's not any special significance attached to it. I'm looking.
Those top 2 games, though, if they figure out a way to win, I have to believe if they can figure out a way to beat Nebraska and SC, they're good enough to beat damn near everybody else on that list. And they're not going to go undefeated, but to think that they can't win 8 or 9 games is ridiculous. I watched USC last year go from 4-8 and a joke of a football team, a team that lost by 30 points to Oregon State the year before, to the Pac-12 championship game and a Heisman winner.
Yep.
And TCU was 4-8 the year before they made a national championship run.
Yep.
And a lot of it was because of the transfer portal.
Oh, 100%.
And we just annihilated the transfer portal.
Number 1 in the rankings.
Annihilation.
And Coach Prime just told our guy Neely that we haven't even gotten started in the transfer portal yet.
I'm telling you, if you think, like, one of the reasons I'm so cocky about this, I used to be confident about the Buffs, now I'm just straight bullish, is because I know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm on the phone with them, dog.
Yeah.
I hear my guys walk in and go, man, they're all over my ass. They won't stop calling me. They won't stop texting me. And I'm like, yeah, it's what it feels like to get recruited.
Yep.
It's what I do to hot chicks.
Yep.
I just keep calling and keep texting until they tell me to stop calling or texting them. They either say yes or they kick me off and block me. One of the 2 works. So you're like, what are we talking about right now,
They're
bro?
hitting
Like,
you with the...
It's not. We're not just swiping right and being like, well, I hope they call me back like Carl Durrell did. Deion's like beating the door down like, yo, we're going on a date. I'm with it.
Well, and you know what's one of the things I said, and I'm sure you've noticed this too. Right when Coach Prime was hired, I said, going to Colorado just became cool again.
Yep.
And one of the things that we've been fighting in state especially is like, kids didn't go into class and when they see their friends be like, I got a Colorado offer.
Bro, do you know how cool it used to be a Buff fan?
Yes, dude. In the 90s, that was the
shit. I saw a
shit.
picture on Twitter the other day of Deion figures in like the black pants, white jersey, gold top with a mirrored visor. And I wore a mirrored visor at CU. And I saw the picture and it took me back to being like 10 years old. And I was like, oh my God, that dude looks like a damn superhero to me right now.
Yes.
And look, I'm just saying that it's different in Boulder. There's a reason I wanted to play there. When we're good, people hate it. And I love it.
Yep.
I love it. I love being the bad boys of college football when we want to be. And I'm telling you, bro, it's the Deion Sanders effect, the Coach Prime effect is real. And it has elevated everyone. And thank God for it because we were almost in the Mountain West.
All right.
It was getting pretty bad.
Got to give it a shout out to our friends over at the American Raptors, Denver's rugby team. Pretty cool thing over there that they have going. Essentially, they're taking guys who played football, basketball, but whatever it may be that didn't quite make it to the pros, but they want to keep playing and competing at the highest level, bringing them into the American Raptors, teaching them the game of rugby, and trying to help them make it to Team USA to, hopefully make the Team USA rugby team even better.
I've met with this guy.
Really?
Yeah, I'm crazy that you brought that up. I've actually met with them. They've come in and like scouted a bunch of the guys at the gym. So
that's perfect. I was just about to say.
They do an absolutely awesome job.
Yes,
so.
And their games are free, so get out over to Infinity Park over there in Glendale. It's actually a really fun way to spend a day. Have some drinks, sit in the sun, watch some rugby, and then see guys just
tape up their ears and kill each other.
It's insane. And then
we'll put it like this. I don't have any desire to do this whatsoever, which means that it's probably really awesome.
Yes. And then finally, DraftKings Sportsbook. Shout out to DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of DNVR. Final Four coming up this weekend. We've been just absolutely smashing all of the underdogs throughout the entire tournament, and we are making a lot of money off of it. So we're going to finish it off. 3 games left, underdog no matter what. Every game, get over to DraftKings Sportsbook to get in on that or any of the other bets. Of course, minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. Void in Ohio. All right, we've already run long. I'm probably going to get yelled at. Oh, I already did. So let's hit a couple questions.
My fault. My bad.
No, it's actually not. We're going to hit a couple questions on our way out. We'll start with the super chat. First one here is from Sean Camp, who says, Ches, 2 questions. How long before JB eats his words about Shador? How is your relationship with Coach OB, and do y'all get a chance to talk ball? All right, we'll start with the first one. I don't even want to know what JB said about Shador.
Well, Coach JB hates all quarterbacks.
He hates everything.
Thinks he's the best quarterback that's ever played quarterback or coached quarterbacks. I love JB. We bust each other's balls pretty good. But I think he eats his words within the first month of the season. I think by the time I think game day is going to be in Boulder in almost like twice in 1 month. I think they're going to be there for Nebraska, and Shador is going to put on a show.
Yep.
And then I think they're going to be back there for SC when you determine who's going to be the front runner for the Heisman. That's what I think is going to happen.
Let's go. So,
and then as far as Coach OB, yeah, like we said earlier on the show, I mean, we talk constantly. I was on the phone with him earlier today, making sure that we keep the top O-line recruits in the state of Colorado. It's important. We got a bunch of them in the gym. And yeah, we do talk a lot of ball, a lot of power talk, a lot of counter talk, trap.
That's what I was going to say.
Like scheme talk on, how to do these guys fit what we're trying to do. Can they play up tempo? Can they run? Can they think quickly? Can we do everything off code words? Because Coach Lewis's system is going to be like, walk up and he'll yell, Sparrow, 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 Tuesday, Tuesday. And you've got 5 seconds to get on the ball and make your adjustments for zone right.
Right.
So, yeah, we talk about it a lot. And one of the biggest things he talks about and asks about is how smart is this kid? And, when I start barking stuff at him, like we're in the film room and I go, give me 11, 3x1, tight end ISO left, close bunch right, under, Sam stack, strong safety force, cover 1 fence man. Where's the squeeze gap, 60, 70 protection, and how do we run gator and power? that kid can go up there and articulate all that and spit it out.
Yep. Yep. I've actually sat in one of those meetings with you,
fun, isn't it?
and it's actually really fun. Like, I'm like taking notes. I'm like, how do I apply this to my Madden? 14-1 this season, so it's working.
Hey, who'd you lose to?
It's a sore subject.
I bet it is. Messed up an undefeated season on my video game.
In my last game, I was 14-0, and now I'm 14-1.
Well, you're not playing an 18-game season?
No, I'm saying in my most recent game.
Oh, you are 14. You just lost?
I just lost
You're coming off an L?
Yeah.
Bummer, dog.
Oh, the team's fired up, though, dude. They're hungry.
I bet those little digital dudes are getting it in.
All right. Well, one thing I wanted to say, like, Gage or whoever, it's got to be articulated, and I know it is, but I just want to hear it from you, to these guys how fun this offense looks for offensive linemen.
Well, this sets you up to go into an NFL meeting, an evaluation at the combine, and they say, okay, you're playing a smash mouth run system with an up tempo pass system.
Yeah.
So you're getting both. You're getting smash mouth concepts and taught how to move people at the point of attack, which is what the NFL is all about when it comes down to it. Because look, they can change all the rules all they want. The trench is the trench. The trench was the trench in 1980 and 2000 and 2023. It doesn't matter. If you can't move people and you don't have fundamentals, you won't play. So Coach OB is huge on that. And then he's also huge on understanding, and that's why Coach Lewis coming and bringing Coach OB with him is so huge, affecting and attacking every ounce of the field. So in every 10-yard pocket of the field in this offense, the defense has to account for it, and if he doesn't, then Shador's going with the ball. So it's not so much of how do we get Travis the ball or how do we get, Jordan Tyson the ball, who's a stud, or how do we get this guy the ball? It's who's open. So Shador's just going to be a point guard.
Who is the defense telling you to throw it to?
So when he walks up and he counts a short box or 6-person box, he's going to go, okay, hey, Sarah, and they're going to run one back power and they're going to smash. But if he goes up there and it's a 7-person box, he's going to call Sarah Alley, and it's a fake power, and he's throwing the screen.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, the offensive linemen are running Sarah, but now they have to transition down the field and chase 20 yards and block somebody.
Yep.
So it's instituting all the different things you want to do on Sunday into a Saturday package, and it puts your best foot forward. Oh, and then, by the way, you've got Deion Sanders as your head coach, and I'm pretty sure he can just pick up the phone and go, I got another one. So it's almost like stealing.
Yep. And the best part is you run that power, then you run the bubble off the power, then they come up, and then you have Jimmy Horn behind the defense. See you later.
And this is the thing is we don't even know what they have really. Like it's all closed door practices. We get a little bit of a glimpse. We got to see one, yeah. Like I'm going up there on Thursday, like I said, to watch the entire practice and really sink my teeth into what we're looking at. But the spring game in the past has been lame. The spring game now is going to be a showcase.
Yep.
It's going to be a game. It's going to be, it's on ESPN for God's sake. It's going to be fantastic.
It's going to be an event.
Yeah, I can't wait.
All right, couple more questions before we wrap it up here. From Big Boss Racer, will the Buffs be in the top 25 at the end of the season? Got a
chance. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to, what do we have, 13 games?
12.
I'm going to say we're 8-4.
That's kind of where I'm hoping they end up.
I'd say 10-2 on the top end, 6-6 on the low end.
I like that.
If we're 6-6, I don't think we're ranked, but they're a bowl team and they got a chance for a winning season, which would be awesome.
Yep.
And but I don't think they're thinking like that up there. I think that's us being beat down by 20 years.
Yep.
Like I think Coach Prime and the staff up there are thinking, and the players are thinking, we can win every game.
Coach Prime came in like no one else I've ever seen.
When are we going to sit around? We're going to talk about losing? Why would we do that?
How many coaches have come in and say, it's going to take a minute. Give me time.
Everyone does.
Coach Prime said, we're winning now.
Now.
Love it. All right, couple more. Let's go quickly. Luis says, McChes, first game I ever attended as a student was when Marquisha Houston got stopped at the goal line on the last play of the game.
Oh,
Go
man.
Buffs. That's one of my favorite Folsom memories. That was electric.
That was an unbelievable atmosphere. My senior year in 2004, the opener. after an off season of just absolute hell where Coach Barnett got suspended and everyone was down on the program. And yeah, look, Marquisha transferred the year before and didn't have to sit out a year, and we balled him up pretty good the year before, but he still went for over 100 in the Lightning game. And he came back, and I'll tell a little quick story. I'm glad you brought this up. So we used to eat in the team room, which was right above the north end zone.
Okay, yep, I remember that.
We're up there the night before when they're down on the field doing their walkthrough like a bunch of idiots. They didn't realize that we're eating dinner while they're doing
Why
their walkthrough.
are they walking through it?
Because they're from Fort Collins, and they're all a bunch of veterinarians, and they didn't understand what they were doing. We're in football land down here in Boulder. We're not in stick your hand up the ass of a camel up in Fort Collins land. So we're all sitting up there, and of course Marquisha's out there complaining that he can't spat his shoes and whatnot. And he'd been talking so much junk, and we had already beat him the year before, and Van Pelt's gone. So Marcus kind of took the horn of I got to be the mouthpiece, right? So we're all up there eating, and we're watching them go through their calls on the goal line. And we're like, okay, well, I think we know where they're going to run. We know they're going to do certain things on the goal line. And like Coach Barnett standing right there and Coach Wilson standing, everyone's standing there like, these guys are really stupid. I'm sitting there eating a steak, watching them prepare for their goal line plays.
I can't believe this.
So they end the play call with Marcus Houston getting the ball and running it in, and they all form up in the end zone and start hopping up and down on the Buffalo. And like we're all standing up there watching them do it. And I remember turning around and saying to the whole team, like, look, it's going to come down to a couple plays tomorrow night, and we are not allowing this to happen. And 24 hours later, bro, we were sitting there on 4th and 1 going, they're going to run left. And they ran left, and we stopped them, and the place blew up. So it was other than Dave Anderson absolutely ripping us apart that night, it was pretty special.
Dude, that was just crazy because I was scared. Like, they were down on the 1 yard line, bro. With
I was
plenty
sitting
of
there
time.
like, we're going to lose to Dreesen. He's never going to stop talking junk. This is going to be the end of my world. At the beginning of the game, we walked out, and Joel Dreesen, who I've known since we were whips, we both grew up here. He went to CSU, I went to CU. You know, the year before was very contentious.
Yeah.
Like, the 03 team wasn't as good, but we were good in the beginning of the year, and then we just fell off. But that CU-CSU game that year, they were supposed to beat us. They had beaten us the year before. The Van Pelt aspect, we beat them on the last play of the game in the Lightning. And the whole offseason, I remember like a month later after the 03 game, we saw Van Pelt at the Foundry. And he came over and tried to buy us drinks, and we were all sitting there. I remember I took the drink that he bought me, and I poured it out in front of him and dropped the glass. And I was like, this is the wrong place for you. You shouldn't be here. And he left. But it was extremely contentious for a lot of years, and that was like at the point of it. And it felt so good at that moment. But what feels better is every time I see my boys that all went there, and they have to relive that moment because I won't let them live it down.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the best part of it. So thank you for bringing that up.
That's all. That's what rivalries are all about. All right, we have one more super chat on the way out. Let's also get over 200 thumbs up before we finish here. From Jeff, who says, glad to see Colorado football back on the map. Let's go. Amen.
And look, it's been a long time, and I know that you and I, Ryan, are both elated. Yep. But now the work has begun, and it's not just hype. I know there's a lot of folks out there that don't think this is real. I don't know if it's as real as you're watching.
Yeah.
Like that's the beauty of this. They're not hiding anything. It's very similar to what you said about 6-0 earlier. You're getting what you get. Like, we're not pulling any punches. They're not reading comments worried about, what you think. They're doing what they think is right, the process. And, Coach Prime believes the process is the prize, and he's instituting that every day. And it's funny that right when he was hired, everyone was like, well, he's got to institute his own traditions, and we got to get rid of some of the other things. And one of the first things I heard him say when we walked through the hallway up there on the day he got hired was, when we walked by the sign that said the pride and tradition of the Colorado Buffaloes will not be entrusted to the timid or the weak. And it's something that every time I say it gives me goosebumps because I live by that. And he looked at it and he was like, well, that's staying. that's the way that we need to operate. And I'm watching it and I'm like, so the foundation's always been here for this. It just takes the right man to lead greatness. Yeah. And we have him. So I don't see why we can't ride this until the damn wheels fall off, dog. And you know what? I hate to say deserve, because you don't deserve anything in sports, but it's been a long time coming for this, bro.
We've earned it.
Like we've if any fan base has gone through the, from 1986 till 2004, we were smashing people's face in, and it's been a drought as long as my kids have been alive.
Yep.
Like, I've got to talk to my kids like I'm like a grandpa. Like, well, back in the day, Sonny, we used to kick people's asses. And they're like, really? The last memory they have is like a 30-0 ass kicking to Minnesota and Folsom or whatever.
Yeah,
so, by the way, never do a whiteout and then come out in black and gold jerseys. Doesn't make any sense.
A topic for another day.
Yeah, I'd say.
You killed it. I'm so glad we had you on. We'll definitely bring you back
Just let me know.
for Nebraska week.
You know it.
And this has been great, man. So
Yeah,
appreciate you. Appreciate everyone who tuned in. And hit us with a thumbs up on your way out.
Keep it up, DNVR. You guys are rocking.
Thanks, bro. Skol Buffs.
Amen, brother. Go Buffs.